But I think it should be based on salary type of thing.
Well, there I would disagree with you, because if you truly want a 50-50, it has to be equal.
I didn't even necessarily mind that I was contributing. I never expected to not. You're the first person that I've been with that I don't have to do that, around that, but it's the effort that they put in, right? Because I had also dated some guys that didn't have a ton of money and couldn't, pay all my bills, but they did other things that made me feel like they were still supporting me.
Now you have an unequal, well, wait a minute. Why are you contributing less? You're bringing less to the table because we're looking at this transactionally. So you should go to college and get a better job, or why don't you upgrade your skills? You're lazy.
Or, that sort of situation. I was in a very 50-50 relationship, and it felt so transactional to me, more so than even my friends. And that felt weird to me.
Right.
It felt weird that when we went out, it was oh, well, you got this, so you need to pay for that. Because I would go out with my friends and we would never even act that way.
Right.
So it kind of tarnished the relationship. I mean, the relationship had its own problems, but what I'm saying is that it made it so transactional that it was almost uncomfortable feeling. And, I was making less than this guy,
right?
Which is pretty typical. And I was still paying the same amount that he was, which in my mind, I don't think it is bad to have some sort of dynamic where a woman pays for stuff and a guy pays for stuff. But I think it should be based on salary type of thing.
Well, there I would disagree with you, because if you truly want a 50-50, it has to be equal. So it does, if you make...
But I'm not saying I want a 50-50.
Right.
I'm saying that
know,
it would balance the tables out more, because think of it from my perspective in that instance. I'm we're going out to dinner and we go to a nice dinner and we get a nice bottle of wine.
Right.
Now I'm going to be eating ramen for the rest of the week.
Right.
And he's got, all the things.
Which is the problem with 50-50, because if it's going to be equal, then it's going to be equal pay regardless of how much money you make, because that's what 50-50 truly is. Otherwise, it's not 50-50. Right.
So
that's why
I understand that.
That's why I'm against 50-50.
This is
completely.
my perspective, though.
Yeah,
so that is what I think would have balanced it out more, because then we could have been on the same sort of playing field. And I didn't even necessarily mind that I was contributing. I never expected to not. You're the first person that I've been with that I don't have to do that. So I never was expecting that. And I think some people might see our relationship and be oh, well, she's probably just always let the guy pay for everything. I even told you, I think when we were first dating, that if I didn't want to see a guy again, I would pay for the whole date, because I'm let me treat you.
And then this will be the last.
Then we're done.
Yeah.
Make it a good little parting gift. You got a free dinner, and so I let you down easy. So I was never the type of person that would be a guy needs to do this. But I had a lot of friends that were old school and would tell me that they would be upset if a guy didn't pay for a date.
Sure.
But at the same time, I'm pretty sure a lot of those people are doing some sort of 50-50, or they're two contributing households.
Right.
And my parents are 50-50 type of people. So I grew up with that. It's not necessarily I didn't see those things. I didn't grow up with our dynamic. But
right.
There is something that I feel a man doesn't have to pay for everything in your life for you to have some sort of security, around that, or but it's the effort that they put in, right? Because I had also dated some guys that didn't have a ton of money and couldn't, pay all my bills, but they did other things that made me feel they were still supporting me. They would, give me some flowers every once in a while, or they wouldn't make me be all right, here's your Excel spreadsheet of you owe me $7.50 for this cocktail that you got at dinner. And that's also the extreme. I do realize that.
Right.
And it does like work for people. People do it.
No, it doesn't work for people.
People do it.
People do it. It doesn't work for people.
And so
and part of the reason why it doesn't work for people is exactly what you said, is because if you do a 50-50 and you don't pay attention to the incomes, then that becomes a problem if someone makes more than the other person or if that changes over time. If you do pay attention to the incomes and now it's like, now you have an unequal, like, well, wait a minute. Why are you contributing less? Like, you're bringing less to the table because we're looking at this transactionally. So you should go to college and get a better job, or why don't you upgrade your skills? You're lazy. Like, you see what I'm saying? Now I'm paying more money.
But I feel like
it doesn't work.
Think like that, do you even care about the person really? Because it's like you would want to like put in a little extra because you have a little extra in order for you guys to be on the same playing field as far as like, because look at it this way. Like what you just said, like if you're really looking at it that way, I would say that you don't care about that person. Like, so back to the story of like, I'm paying exactly the same and now I can only eat ramen for the rest of the week. Also at the same time, it's like now I can't like afford to get you a nice Christmas present because I don't have like the money left over because of all these things we're going to do.
Get another job.
But besides financial too, like, okay.
Yeah. But okay, let me give my take on that part then. So I believe that I get it. I mean, I get the whole idea behind the 50-50 and there is, to give a caveat here, there are women that take advantage of men paying for things or expect men to pay for things, right? And don't expect that they're contributing in any way, that they're just they're just taking advantage of the situation, and especially of nice guys. However, as a man, I do firmly believe that a man should pay for everything. And there's several reasons for this. One of them is just to avoid the 50-50 completely, because there's no way to do a 50-50 that works. Because either you're going to have the problem where you treat everything straight down the middle and it's transactional, and then if one person makes more money than the other, that person always feels like they're getting the short end of the stick, or you have to like subsidize the other person, in which case the other person feels like, why am I subsidizing you? So it just doesn't, it turns something that's a relationship into transactional when you start to count the dollars in any way that you do that. And it's just, it's not.